Welcome to Soft Bites Podcast. Your life, your dentistry. We talk about ways to have more fun and meaning in one of the coolest and most rewarding professions in medicine. Conversations on how to bring awareness, create a healthy workplace, and provide emotional insights to make dentistry a fulfilling activity while making space for one's wonder, creativity, and freedom. Here are your hosts, Manuela and André.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Hello, Manuela, because women first. Hello,
Of
Jorge
course.
or André. I don't know how you want me to call you.
Yeah, Jorge André is fine.
Jorge
For
André is fine.
friends, for
Because
friends,
I
it's fine.
remember when I met you the first time, I called you Jorge.
Yes,
And you told me,
that's-
Jorge, that's the Spanish version of Jorge. Jorge Portuguese is more the softer language than Spanish.
yeah, I'm used to people calling me all sorts of types of George, Jorge, and also Jorge. They sometimes think I'm Greek or something. But Alessandro, thank you so much for being able to do one episode in the Soft Bites podcast. For the audience, I mean, Alessandro is one of the biggest influencers in the dental community in social media. He's been involved in technology projects in dentistry for many years, and so thank you again for being here. And I'm just going to start by asking you, Alessandro, how was your path in dentistry? How did it all started, and how did you arrive here at this point in time, being one of the most influencers in dentistry, and also always connected to technology? How did it all started?
Well, it started with a lecture in 1985 where Professor Merman, for all who
Yes.
don't know, the inventor of the CEREC system, that I was lucky to be student at the Zurich Dental School when this happened. So in 1985, he lectured to the students and telling us, imagine if you have a machine that can help you doing restorations at the chair side. So you are the man with your skills, with your manuality, and you have a computer that is reliable, helping you to treat your patients at the chair side. So no dental lab, you do everything by yourself. One visit dentistry was born, or the concept of one visit dentistry was born then, 1985. 1986, I was the second patient receiving 5 inlays. And by the way, I still have them in my mouth. 5 inlays done with the prototype of the machine by Professor Hürzeler. At that time, Markus Hürzeler was an assistant at the Department of Restorative Dentistry. And he did the 5 inlays. So it took 2 times 8 hours, so 16 hours to do these 5 restorations. It was amazing. And then the virus, let's say the computer or the digital virus, hit me. 1990, only 1990, the internet started. So this technology was before internet was born. In the 1990, I opened my dental office. I immediately started using 2 CEREC 1 systems because my idea was I want to start immediately implementing this chairside concept in my daily work. So I left also amalgam restorations. I focused on tooth-colored restorations, be it composite or ceramic restorations where it was possible. With the development of the system, I was also able to broaden the indication, the range of indication. In the beginning, it was only inlays. Then we were able to make onlays. 1994, the Crown software came out. So we're talking about many years ago, because I'm always laughing when people are talking about digital dentistry. And I remember that my first lecture on CEREC was in 1994. I was invited by Professor Scherer. He was the head of the Crown and Bridge department, and he hated Professor Merman. So they were really yelling at each other. So he was not asking Professor Merman to speak about the CEREC system, but he asked me because he knew that I was a CEREC user. And then I remember I was thinking, how can I explain this to this conservative group of restorative or of reconstructive dentists? I was telling them, look, this is digital dentistry. Digital means numbers, and digital means fingers. So every dentist is a digital dentist. One is a little bit more digital, and the other one a little bit more digital. But at the end, we are all digital dentists, you know? And this was the idea, and this was growing, and I was trying also to convince other people. In the 1990s, I started also doing internet courses for dentists. What is an email? What is a browser? You know, people didn't know that. And in this time, in 1994, I registered my website, dentist.ch. And so it continued with ongoing with the next generation. I was trying to do more, but still, and this is something that for me is a little bit sad, that digital dentistry is not really focusing, or only a small part of the dentists out there claiming to be digital dentists are really digital dentists. So today we see a hype of face scanning, intraoral scanning, cone beam, CBT, whatever, and then you get the digital patient. You can move it in the metaverse and you can do whatever you want. But at the end, if we come down to the basic concept of chairside dentistry, it's always the patient sitting in the chair and the dentist is in front of the patient. We are not treating our patients remotely. We are treating them face to face. And then when I ask, what is the benefit of having a full face scan of my patient? What is the benefit of having all this information? Yeah, it looks cool. It's nice. If you're not doing it, you're not up to date. You're not the cool guy. But who is really doing what all these dentists out there are now promoting? Almost nobody. The average dentist is a one-tooth dentist. A patient comes in 99% of the cases with a problem on one tooth. And you have to solve this problem on this one tooth. And it's never, or almost never, ending in a full mouth rehabilitation immediately. But we are getting told that we have to do smile design, face scanning, intraoral scanning, cone beam CT, everything, regardless also who's talking about time, investments. Doing cone beam CT on all patients, is this ethical? So we have a lot of problems. And when we are coming back to what we have learned, to talk to our patients, to look at our patients. I remember, for example, the most famous lab technicians. They spent, I know, Willy Geller and some other guys, they invite their patients to have a tea in their garden. And then sitting there, talking to the patient for 30 minutes, 1 hour, and just looking at the patient, realizing how is he or she smiling? Does she show a lot of teeth? So it's the interaction in the real world that gives much more information than any digital tool, be it video, photo, whatever, can give us. So that's why, again, look at your patients in the chair, talk to them, and make them also smile, make some jokes. And then you realize, did this patient show any teeth during these 5 minutes that I was trying to make him smile or make her smile? And these are the informations that we need. You don't know if you do a face scan or you do whatever you do, if the patient is behaving naturally. It's like, I know if I'm in front of a camera, My wife is always telling me, don't look so stupid. Don't try to make, I don't know, a cool pose. Be just what you be. Be yourself. And again, all the good pictures from myself are the pictures where I didn't know that I was taken a photograph by me. You know what I mean? So when I was like natural, when you stand there and try to make a pose, we are not models. We don't know how to, which muscles we have to activate to look better. You know, I know our older son told me there are smile coaches. Hollywood has smile coaches. You see on the catwalks, on the red carpet, all the actors know how to smile, how they look the best in the camera. Our patients are not actors, they are normal people, and they also want to be treated as normal people. So briefly, this is the history. And I kept this concept for many years now. And I don't know what you want to hear, because I was focusing on this, not on all the other projects around my dental office. We're talking about digital dentistry.
I think that André will explore a little bit more of what you said about that part of dentistry and of digital dentistry. I think he will explore that with you further ahead. But my question for you is, because I know you from it's the first time that we are talking, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. But I know you from Instagram, because like André told in the beginning, you are a big influencer on Instagram, and your Instagram is dentist camera. So I know that you have an interest in photography, and you bring all this great content. You give all this tips, and you teach all of these things about photography and dentistry. How did it came this interest from you from photography, and also because you just mentioned digital dentistry and all those, that part of the scanners and all of that I'm sure that you will get into further ahead. But photography is very important in dentistry, and I know that you are passionate about that. So how did that passion come from the photography and dentistry?
Okay, photography was always my passion, also when I was a child. So, and then when I started dentistry, for me it was obvious that I want to do the documentation myself. I started with analog cameras, but also then I was in touch with Nikon and also with other people who developed special lateral flashes. So also one guy was Wolfgang Bengel. Wolfgang Bengel is for me, one of my most important, let's say, mentors in dental photography. He has written 2 interesting books. I met him several times. He died too early, 10 years ago, because of cancer. But he was he was a person who in 1985 published, for me, still the standard publication about standards in dental photography. So he described what we need, that we need, at that time it was a single reflex camera, not digital, with the 100 millimeter macro lens with a lateral flash. So he started also developing lateral flashes to enhance or to make the light better, to get better illumination of the cases, to get consistent results. So dental photography is the same as X-ray. So X-rays, we take X-rays to look through the patient, and we take pictures to look at the patient. And that's why photography needs to be standardized, at least the clinical documentation. No one would do artistic radiographs. You would not use a softbox on your X-ray machine or Photoshop or whatever. You want consistent results. You want the angle always be the same, because then it's reproducible. Then you can diagnose. Then you can compare over time. And that's the same. And with the rise of social media and marketing and so on, photography has lost a little bit, in some cases, the original meaning or the original function or position in the dental office. Again, It's easy to understand. We have X-ray from inside, and we have photographs and video to look at our patients, but again, always in a standardized way. And then it continued from the switch in 1999. I was lucky because I had some connections with Nikon to get one of the first digital SLR cameras. So the Nikon D1 came out in 1999. And I tried to get the same results I had with my analog camera, but it was really hard. Interesting part was then all professors from the university came to my office asking me, we heard that you have this digital camera. Can you show us this? I got in touch with the ITI and organized workshops, and was really lucky and happy to travel around the globe for the ITI to teach the ITI community how to take better pictures. But it's interesting, this was 20 years ago or more than 20 years ago. Still today, the average dentist struggles taking nice images. And I don't understand. I think, and I'm sure, the same way you learn or your dental assistant learns to take correct X-rays, you should learn to take correct photographs. But the problem is that you want to delegate it, then your dental assistants, maybe they don't like to take pictures, or they are not taught the right way taking pictures. And that's why in many offices, photography is still something that is like, we should take a picture. Where is the camera? We don't find the camera. We don't take a picture. You would not do that with an X-ray. If you want to diagnose a caries, if you make an endo or whatever, you know that the X-ray has to be ready to shoot because you need it. And the same should be with your camera. The camera should be ready, batteries charged, everything ready. Take the camera, take the pictures. You don't have to take pictures of all your patients, but the camera has to be ready. And there's one important rule that I teach all over again is take initial photographs. When the patient comes, take 1, 2, 3 pictures. You don't have to take a status immediately, but take 2, 3 important shots and keep them. Maybe you never will do another picture of this patient, but if you will start treating him, you have the initial situation. So this is the most important picture, is the initial picture that you can never retake. So this is basically, these are the key elements of what dental photography is all about. The rest is, from my point of view, very easy. It's technical. It's no art. It's no fancy gadgets. It's really a straightforward process that you can learn very easily and very quickly.
And Alessandro, you mentioned that you have been connected to education like for many years. You were one of the pioneers of, like you were saying, one of the first lectures in CEREC, probably one of the first lectures in the world in photography. You've witnessed a big revolution in the education of dentistry that was mainly academic a few decades ago. And now it's there are lots of opportunities for private education in courses, in practices, in residences. I mean, private education in dentistry is just skyrocketing. How do you think that private education has evolved? And if you think, because I sometimes I get that idea, which is there's too much showing off and too little sharing. How do you see the evolution of the education throughout the years? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, because we talked about that. For me, dental education has become like the Cirque du Soleil. So Cirque du Soleil, when you go there, you want to step out of the world, immerse yourself in a fantasy world for 2 hours, dream, imagine, and then go back home. But dental education should not be like this. And unfortunately, not not all education, but a lot of education has become a showcase of the industry. Most congresses, even the congresses of big academies, 70% or more of the lectures are industry sponsored. Why should I believe or what they are telling me? They want to sell products. So the really down to earth, real education is not the same as it was before. Because also, if you get invitations before that, there was like somebody was organizing a congress or a conference or a small workshop, and you had your friends, and you get there and you exchange ideas and information, and this has stopped a little bit. So people are traveling around or used to travel. So I heard that not only because of the pandemic is one reason why the education market has changed, I think, dramatically. All conferences are lacking participants because especially the young generation who has to invest time and money in their education, they are thinking, should I really travel to Cannes, Barcelona, Madrid, New York, wherever, and go and attend a workshop, spend a lot of time, lose time in my dental office, and what do I really learn? So for me, and you see, if you want to organize conferences, all big conferences are struggling. And you look at the pictures. They are showing images with a fraction of the audience to create the impression it was full. Even the big things like AAO or the congresses that used to have 5,000, 6,000 participants, now they have 2,000 or 3,000. It's still a huge number, but it's half the number of before. So the education market is dramatically changing. And I also, our oldest son who works for Roche told me also in the medical field, it's dramatically changing. Because now the doctors are not sponsored anymore by the pharma industry for some regulations, so they have to pay themselves. So they don't go anymore to the conferences because it's not paid. They cannot take their family and do 1 week of vacation. That's over. In many countries, you cannot deduct this from your taxes. You have to pay it for yourself. So if you have to pay for yourself, you think if you want to go to a conference in Barcelona with your family for vacation, or rather say, oh, for the same amount of money, I can go 1 week wherever, and then I'm really with my family, and I don't have, there's no other dentist there disturbing my vacation. So basically, the education concepts have changed. We see a race of online education. There are interesting concepts coming up where they mix things. So that, I think it's from Spain, this concept of you have a lecture, and then they send you like the models home, and you can do like practical training at home on models. And so I think new forms of educations are emerging. And the old style, these huge conferences, are from the big organization. They will keep them because they still have let's say 2,000 or 3,000 instead of 5,000 or 6,000. But who's really struggling are the small events, 50 people, 100 people. This is really hard. Or you are one of the rock stars. So, for example, I know Ignacio Loy, a friend from me from Sardinia, so my home island. Ignacio, he's now, I think, around 70 years old, and he's a rock star. He's a rock. If he's doing a conference, he gets 500 people, 1,000 people who are like, wow, really following him because he has a unique concept, he has a unique strategy, or like people like Pascal Magne. So we have 5 or 10 or 20 or maybe 50 people that are unique, that have a real message, and they have their followers, they have their groupies. They are the rock stars, and they still can fill their courses, but the average dentist or the average organization is really struggling doing so. So there's a shift. There's a shift in this field.
Alessandro, in our podcast, we talk a lot about mindset and mental health of dentists. And as you being a very experienced educator, what are your thoughts on this? Because we were talking before we started recording, and you were saying that the business model of dentistry is special, right? So tell us a little bit about this, because I know that you also, for example, now with your dental TV, you have which is an educational app for dentists. You were talking that you're going to have a mental coach series there, and you talk a lot about also communication and all of that. So what are your thoughts on this about the business model of dentistry and being this special?
No, I experienced, and that's why I started Dental TV, that there is so many things we don't learn at dental school. Young dentists think, oh, I'm 24, I'm 25 years, I have a master's degree, and now I'm conquering the world, I'm the greatest, I'm much better than anyone else. And then the touchdown to the earth is very hard. It's very hard when they realize, ooh, what about finance? What about leadership? What about communication? What about marketing? What about mental health? What about physical health? What about my lifestyle? There are so many things. And with the ongoing change in the world, especially also with social media, marketing, television, and so on, celebrities, we are looking up and saying, wow, I want to be George Clooney, I want to be Roger Federer, I want to be whatever. But, and that's what it's a really important message, dentistry is a very limited profession, and it's not scalable. And this is when young dentists or even older dentists realize that very quickly you reach your limits. I like being a dentist. I love being a dentist. But comparing it with my brother who started IT in the 1980s, his business is scalable. He's doing more money each year. He's buying new cars. He's doing this. He's investing money. His business is scalable. If he gets new client, he might say, okay, I hire one or two new IT guys and we do this. And the dental office cannot be managed like that. So this is an important thing. You cannot open a second office, a third office, a fourth office, a fifth office and say one office makes 100,000, 5 offices makes 500,000. No. It's not working that way. It's not working that way, because you should clone yourself. Then it might be possible. If you can clone yourself 10 times, you can open 10 offices. But at the end, and from this point, I think a lot of frustration arises from there, that the young generation realizes, oh shit, I cannot be successful as other professions. That's why, and maybe this is a little bit provocative, that's why less men are going into dentistry. When I was a student, 80%. No.
Theory,
I tell you why.
Yes.
I tell you why.
True.
The selection of a profession of a man is related to the potential income, because still today, and this has nothing to do with gender, with whatever, the man, the brain of the man is the hunter. The man wants to nourish his family, and he wants to make money to have his family. These are concepts that are programmed in our deep brain, and they cannot be canceled just by some journalists or some people saying, oh, we have to change everything. No, these are things that are in our brains since 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 years, or even longer. Why are men more aggressive than women? That's in the genes. The man is the fighter. The man is stronger. And these are facts. This has nothing to do with I'm against women or whatever. It's like in Norway, they tried to make 50-50 on the oil platforms. Imagine what happened. There are not enough strong women to make this hard work. Or why should they? Why should they? If you know what I mean? So these are the basic concepts, and we have to be aware also of all these facts when we are starting our business. And that's why this provocative thing is now reality, that in many countries there are almost no men in dentistry anymore because they are frustrated. They see these limitations. They see this small box. You have to invest a lot of money, and today even more money, to have all the gadgets that you need. So, and why should you do that? It's easier to become an influencer. It's easier to become whatever without doing a lot of investments. And you can also fail, but you cannot fail if you have invested first 300,000 or 400,000 in your education. Take the American system. So if you finish your study, you end up with 400 or 500,000 of debt. Okay, now you have to start your business. You have to invest another 500,000. So you have 1 million on your shoulders. Maybe you even want to marry and have children. More money you need. How can you do that? And this leads to burnouts. This leads to depression. Obviously. So these are the facts, and you have to realize all that before you go and select this as your profession. You have to realize that it's not the sky. The sky is not the limit. The limit is the ceiling of your dental office. You know, and you have to realize that it's a nice profession. You can make a good living. You will never become rich. You have a good living if you're a good dentist and you have good patients, and if you know a little bit about marketing and realize all these points. But always keep in mind that you have limits, and you have to live with these limits. And if you're happy with these limits, there's no burnout. If you're happy with that, it's like there are people doing working on in a shop for their whole life and doing every day the same thing. And you ask them, say, I'm happy with that. I don't have to think too much. I get my money and it's okay for me. You have to adapt. You have to adapt your lifestyle to what you have. If you get 100, you cannot spend 200. So these are all things that you have to know. But if you compare yourself with others, and this is also one of the big problems, that you compare yourself with others. Say, he's more successful, she has more money, he has a better car, he has this, he has that, or she has this and she has that. If you start doing this, that's the other thing. What can you do as a dentist? Nothing. You cannot say, I could tell my wife, okay, tomorrow I will come home at 11 at night because I have to work 5 hours longer, that I can afford this or that. But this is not the solution to the problem. So know your limits and think about if you are happy, or you can be happy with what you have, with the limitation of this. And for me, helping patients is more than money. And I don't say this because it's blah, blah. No, I like to talk to my patients. I feel myself also being a little bit a psychologist for my patients. I have so many interesting discussions with my patients. I learn so much from my patients, also for my life. So I think this is important, and I see myself as a doctor. Dentists should see themselves as doctors. Don't just look in the mouth and look, there's one tooth, I have to treat the tooth and forget the rest. I think attached to the teeth, there's a human being, and we have to look also at that, treat that, communicate with that. A lot of dentists, the whole day, they only say, open your mouth, rinse, please. Does it hurt? And if you only have 3 words that you repeat the whole day, I would freak out. You know, it's like this Charlie Chaplin on the working. You know, this famous movie. He was like when he's not fast enough, he was going in the machine and everything. So this is like the hamster wheel at the end. So a lot of people then feel to be like in the hamster wheel. They're running fast and fast and fast, but they're not going further. They stay there. And this is how many dentists feel.
Thank you.
And you need to step out of this to change, or you need to change and stop what you're doing and switch to something else. But again, the problem is there. You studied, you invested money. Why should you leave all that? Because, well, I still make a decent amount of money. And if I would say, I want to be a painter, I want to be a carpenter, I want to be whatever, a chef, then it's for many dentists too hard, or they don't want to make this extra effort to change something in their life. And this is why there are studies, depending on the profession and the education level, it's between 5 and 50% of people are unhappy with what they're doing. And if in dentistry, maybe it's 15 or 20 or 30%. And imagine as a patient, if you are treated by an unhappy dentist.
Yeah, it's horrible. Thank you so much. You said so many important things. And before I pass it to André, just let me share that I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and she told me you elaborated more, but she told me exactly the same thing as you said. She said, we are told this thing that it's not true, that dentistry universities nowadays are ruled by women because women are smarter and whatever. It's not. It's because men realized already that there is no money in dentistry. So that's why they are not considering dentistry anymore. So yeah, it's interesting because you elaborated and you have your vision on this also, and it's basically the same thing. But thank you so much. You said so many important things. It was very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, Alessandro, it was a very interesting view. I never thought about that, but it's very interesting. I actually here in Portugal, it's about 70 to 80% of the students in the universities are women in dentistry, and it's very interesting. And it's true. And actually, if we even think about it, there's a drop. Actually, the proportion of women versus men in the universities is rising. There are much more women. And maybe it is also because in today's world, because of social media and all these opportunities, sometimes you don't need to have a degree to make money, actually, right?
Yeah, no, I explain to you why this difference is. The difference is also based on the genders. At the age of 18, a woman is much more mature than a man. An 80-year-old man is still a boy. An 80-year-old woman or an 80-year-old girl is already a woman, and she knows. A woman at 18 knows what she wants. The average knows what she wants. She knows that she has to work hard to get to university. In Germany and in many, many other countries, it's not that women are more intelligent. They work harder. They know what to do. And men at 18 are freaking around and trying to explore the world. Their hormones are freaking out. Women are much earlier in any aspect. A woman gets with 14, 15, a woman is already a woman. A man at 14 is still a boy. The man takes much longer to get mature, to get in the position to be a man, to have a family, to have everything. And in these important years, there are so many important decisions to make. And one important decision at the age of 18 is, do I go to university, yes or no? And the woman says, yes, I want to go to university. And the man says, oh, there are nice girls at the beach. Let's go to the beach. So that this is again, and this is one of the points.
But sorry, Alessandro. But why
yes.
why this difference? Why is this being more pronounced, more accentuated in the last decade? Why do you think that there are more and more women in the university, especially in the last decade, than it wasn't before? What do you think that has changed?
It changed that man cannot be man anymore. When I was a child, we fight it. We had fights at school or outside. We were trying to show each other like young animals, you know, fighting, showing who's stronger. And today at school, the teacher says, "Oh, Jorge, be quiet, sit down, don't behave like a boy." You know, and this is serious, that the young men are not allowed to really develop as men. So everything gets softened down at the end at the women level. Be reasonable, don't make jokes, don't be silly, be serious, be more serious. And girls are more serious than boys at this age. And if we are pushed down to this being serious level, most of the young men react like with, oh, I don't care, with not interest, or they go home and start gaming. You know what I mean? They escape in other worlds, but lose a little bit the contact to the real world. So trying to change things that have, again, developed over thousands of years in a fraction of time, in 10 years, 15, 20, 30 years, trying to change systems dramatically causes these actions or these reactions that the men are getting less powerful. We want equal. We want that boys and girls are equal in any level, but they are not. At the end, I'm completely agree that we have the same rights. We should earn the same amount of money for the same work. But again, there are two genders for many reasons.
Yeah.
And if you try to influence some basic instincts of both genders, I'm not talking about only men, also women, to make them equal, there will be some reactions that are now leading. For example, also our son is saying many times, only for some positions today, they only apply women.
Yeah.
And this is then against them. So to try to say, okay, at the end, we want to reach 50-50.
Yeah.
But I'm coming back, for any position, for anything, you should select the best option. and the best person. So this
And
is a side effect of all this.
It's a very interesting and very very important discussion, because it's true. I think and it's true that the equality of rights, it's a goal, of course. It must be a goal, but I think that there were, and I agree with you, there were some things that are actually being a little bit counterproductive for men, and I am 45 now, but if I was 20s. If I was in my 20s, I look back at the situation right now, and I think that I would struggle a little bit, because it's exactly like you were saying. I think masculinity has been is under attack, not in a direct way, but as a consequence of this urge of making everything equal, which I think, of course, it's important. But I think this discussion of the bad consequences on mental health for men, for being within the same standards of what is acceptable, and being extremely criticized and being extremely judged by women, and by this huge necessity of making everything equal. And I think that is an issue. And I think that is an issue that women must recognize that. And I don't think there is enough recognition for that. And I really understand what you are saying, and I think it's true. But I never thought that was also one of the reasons why men are getting away from the university. But it is true. The amount of men that are completely withdrawing from society, let's say it, and just live with very low income, or live with their parents is increasing, which is concerning. It's concerning not only for men but also for women, because at the end of the day, I don't think that, of course, there are many models of relationships, but at the end of the day, I think that relationships between men and women, they are important. Okay, but changing a little bit of the subject here. So you've been working with scanners and chairside CAD/CAM for the last decades now, and I'm sure, like you're saying, that digital dentistry, of course, it has its application. But let me give you a few examples. And you also talked about facial scanners and very expensive gadgets. For example, facial scanners, mandibular digital cinematics, and technology like that. Don't you think that, for example, for facial scanners, you can get to the same goal with good dental photography? Number one, and for example, for digital mandibular cinematics, if you work very well on your provisionals, if you work well in the mouth, if you understand the basics of occlusion, isn't that more important than all these gadgets? And especially not the gadgets, because I think they will be helpful sooner or later. But I think that the dental industry is trying to tell the clinicians that, no, you don't need to think now. You just need to do this, and there are no clinical skills that you need. There are almost no clinical skills, and this will make your job easy for you. Do you think that these technologies will actually make the job easier for us?
No, there's one comment I always tell people, or I always, when I started my journey into digital dentistry, I told them, the better technology is, the better the operator has to be. So if you take a Formula One car, we cannot drive it. It's the best car, but without a huge amount of training, you are not able to manage it, to use it correctly. It's the same with all this technology. I think get back to the basics, learn the basics, and then think how a digital technology can improve my skills. I remember when I started placing implants, I had to go 2 weeks to Sweden to do a workshop, 2 weeks workshop. When I came back, I had to pay 40,000 for my Bronnemark implant kit. But in the 40,000, there was like 10 operations with the dentist and the dental nurse included. So this is called education. You know what I mean? They tell you before you can even buy something, you have to go 2 weeks and learn the basics. Then you invest 40,000 and we teach you, we assist you for the 10 first operations. And then you can start exploring and being better. Today, implant workshop, 1 weekend, 2 hours, you're an implant dentist. So these are the downsides of industry, and the industry today is creating problems that do not exist and sells us the solution to these problems. And honestly, if we are coming back, Smile Design is a modern interpretation of a textbook about full dentures that is more than 100 years old. The principles of Smile Design are 100 years old. So if you read these textbooks, you see what is the first step? We have the wax walls, then we do front teeth try-in. What do we define? Form, aesthetic, function, phonetics. And then you go to the back teeth. And if you learn, you could read a book that is 100-year-old and understand how dentistry works. And sorry, dentistry has not evolved what basic principles concerns. A joint, a temporomandible joint, is still the same as 100 years ago. Teeth are still the same. Caries is still the same. Periodontitis. Maybe we know better how some things work. We have learned a lot about the impact of certain kind of bacteria on our health. But basically, if you don't clean your mouth, you get problems. So it's no rocket science. Sorry, boys and girls, sorry. Dentistry is no rocket science. And again, they want to sell us a lot of gadgets. I would never go back and take physical impressions because taking digital impressions is so much easier. It's better for the patient. If something is better for the patient, then you should use it and you should start learning to get the journey of your patient better. It's interesting. Also, again, coming back to our son who's working for Roche, they call people helping dentists patient journey consultant. And a dentist should be a consultant of his patient's journey from the first visit to the final restoration or whatever. It's a journey, and you can be the captain, you can be the engineer, you can be many functions in this journey of your patient, sitting on your chair, asking for advice, for help. And again, if there's a technology that can improve this journey for the patient, or be that you might be a little bit more efficient, do it. But then you have to learn how to use it. But a lot of gadgets are absolutely useless. Useless in the sense of they are telling us to replace something that we have learned or we should know. But honestly, a lot of things that we learned at dental school or are there for decades or even 100 years are not done by dentists. Who is checking the temporomandibular joints of the patient? Who is asking the patient, please open your mouth. Stand in front of your patient and ask your patient, open, close, open, close. And you see, also people like Francesca Vailati coming back to say, she gives a chewing gum to the patient and tell the patient, chew in front of me. You see how the thing is working. That's not rocket science. She's watching. she's exploring and make their interpretation. But this is not new stuff, you know. A lot of people are explaining us things that we have forgotten because it's not sexy. Full dentures are not sexy. Partial dentures are not sexy. We want to do veneers, implants, bleaching, be cool, Hollywood, you know? This is what the young generation wants. But to do all this, first of all, you need the patience and you need to know about the basics before you start all this. And never forget the basics. And there are some basic concepts, and most of the concepts that we are rely on are based on full dentures, how they work, because 50 years ago, the majority of patients at 40 or 50 had no teeth anymore. So now all the patients are coming with still many teeth in their mouth. But you will see what is the most important product in the dental industry. Denture teeth. Denture teeth. Because dentures will go up like this. Not every patient at 50, 60, 70 with missing 4, 5, 6 teeth can afford implants because of increasing diabetes, osteoporosis, finance problems. That's one big issue. We have more poor people in the world. There's a small number of very rich people, but the number of poor people is exploding. They cannot afford this treatment. They need partial dentures. Partial denture will be a huge business. And there we have still the problem that it's not so easy to do intraoral scanning for partial or full dentures. And these are things that I think the industry is investing a lot of time and money, but it's not really progressing the way it should or could. But these are the important developments in dentistry. Is how can we do full dentures and partial dentures more efficiently with a digital approach that you can say, if you have a denture, you can reproduce the denture if the denture gets lost without a lot of effort. So these are the important points in dentistry. And young dentists should be aware that dentistry is not about being cool and sexy. It's about working with your patients, with your hands, and learn, take your time and go back and learn the basics.
Do you think that young dentists go to the sexy dentistry because of social media nowadays?
Yes, because they think that the scalability could come into play, but also there it's not. They think if I do something that is sexy and cool, I make much more money. But it's not making much more money. You invest also much more money. So if you don't do the veneers by yourself with CEREC, if you do it with the lab and so on, you have more people involved. You have extra costs. It's not that when a patient pays 20,000 for a treatment, that these 20,000 are in your pocket. So these are the points. But if you do like the small stuff, at the end you have more money in your pocket than with a few patients where you think you do the big treatment. And a lot of big treatments are done for free by these so-called key opinion leaders, because also they don't have a huge amount of full mouth rehabilitations, of nice looking. It's always interesting. Always nice looking boys and girls have these full mouth rehabilitations. Why? Because most of them are getting them for free or at a reduced cost, because they, I will do the treatment with you because then I can take nice pictures, nice video, and share it with the community, and then everybody gets jealous. And that's the problem. We compare ourselves with others. Never do that. I think, wow, it's cool if this guy is doing this amazing cases on supermodels and Hollywood stars. Cool. I don't need that. This is then the reality of social media, that we want to be the rock stars. And again, there are 10, 20, 50, 100 dentists that are rock stars, but they put a lot of time and money in all this. It's a business. It's a business being a Michael Appa or all these other famous dentists. It's hard work. That's hard work. That's not so easy. It's not the easy peasy. It's hard work. And today, the young generation wants to have a better work-life balance. So I see that a lot of people want to work 60% because they say, oh, I need 3-4 days a week to go out with my friends and do my hobby because I feel stressed with my work, but they want the same amount of money for that. And who's paying for this? Again, if you only work 2 days a week as a dentist or as a painter or whatever, and 5 days you're not working, you will not become better. Becoming better needs hard work, needs effort. You need to work hard to become better in what you're doing. And it's like if you only play golf once per month, you will never be better. You can have fun, but you will not become better in what you're doing. And this is also one of the issues in dentistry, all this part-time work. If you only work 20%, I when I started working, I always was working 120% in my office and then another 50% for lectures and another 20% for this and then 30% for the family. And you end up in 200-300%. You know what I mean? And today, if you tell somebody, oh, you need to work 80 hours or 100 hours per week, they say, are you crazy? I worked, when I started my dental office, I had 80, 90, 100 hours per week that I worked. 12 hours in my office, then going home, taking care of the family, preparing lectures, going at bed at 2 o'clock at night, getting up at 5, and doing this for many, many years. And then you can be successful if you do that, if you want to do that. And if you don't want, and the younger generation don't want, so okay. If you don't want, I don't mind. But don't expect to be successful without investing time and effort in something that you want to be successful in.
But going back to social media, you are a rock star in social media. So, so I was just looking to check if the number was right. You have almost 80,000 followers in your Instagram account, so you use them very well.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, I'm now in a phase of transformation.
Tell me
you
about
know, I'm not the butterfly. You know, how do you call that? Before
you are in
the
a cocoon?
Butterfly is
you are
in the cocoon.
Yeah.
I'm in the cocoon phase because I have realized that on social media you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Don't overthink. Don't think if you have 100,000 followers or 200,000, whatever, you are a rock star. You have to analyze the situation. And I'm really in a phase of transformation. I'm losing a lot of followers, but I'm happy that I'm losing them because they're not dentists and they're not related to my business or to my passion. I want more people that are sharing my passion, creating a more engaged community. And again, it's a big problem to engage with the dental community.
Why do you think that is?
And then
because I think that's very interesting. I think that's very interesting because dentists use social media in a way to attract, to attract for the sexy dentistry, like you said. But then when you try to use social media as a way to engage as a community, because I have the same difficulty, it's not easy. So why do you think that happens? It's very interesting, that point. Why do you think that happens in the dental community?
Then you have to check. A lot of dentists have private accounts. They don't want to show themselves. The average dentist is afraid of showing what he's doing because he thinks somebody would say, oh, this is not good what you're doing. Point one. Point two, they don't want to ask questions in public. I get every day a huge amount of direct messages asking me questions. And I tell them, oh, that would be great as a comment. And then I can answer the comment so everybody knows the question and the answer,
but they don't
and
do
not
that,
just
do
you.
they? Yeah.
They don't do that. They don't do that.
Yeah, it happens the same thing with me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They don't do that. They don't want. And that's why this year I decided that for my well-being, I'm on social media only for fun. And everybody should take this as do whatever it's the same as in my profession. I'm not feeling forced anymore to do something. I'm experimenting. I'm doing new things. And that's why I'm also losing followers, but gaining others. And this should be, it's not that I'm getting new patients with what I'm doing. I'm sharing my passion on social media. And if somebody likes it, good. If somebody doesn't, I don't care. I don't care. So I see that it's a small number of dentists that like what I'm doing, and I'm absolutely happy, and I'm doing it for them. But basically, I'm doing it also for myself because I enjoy what I'm doing, and this should be the most important point. And again, also here, don't compare yourself to others. Do what you like, what you enjoy doing, and don't get pushed too much. So this was a mistake I did many years ago. I tried to push myself too hard, and then I had to stop. And then I restarted my social media and found that you get a little bit addicted. You can very quickly get addicted to, and then you check how many likes, how many views, how many comments, and then you have to stop and say, oh, forget this. If you have more likes, I don't get more money. I don't see more patients. You can do marketing on social media for your dental office, but again, the most important marketing is still word of mouth. So 70% of my new patients, or even more, 80% are coming from word of mouth of existing patients.
Alessandro,
so this is, yes.
I completely agree with you. I would just like to remember one thing that we once discussed, and just like this is just before the last question. Remember that we once discussed something about the Cascada Declaration, which is basically a few university professors gathered in 2017 and just addressed the issue. And the title of the document is called Dentistry in Crisis, Time to Change, La Cascada Declaration. I'm just going to read you some sections. Despite current knowledge of the cause of oral diseases globally, most people continue to experience significant levels of disease and disability. Globally, the profession has had little direct impact on the scale of the problem. Corporations and insurance companies are increasingly taking over the provisions of health services, including dental services in many countries. The treatment regimens that they promote are designed more to ensure adequate returns on investment for their shareholders than to improve their health status of the community, resulting in a tendency for the provision of excessive and sometimes inappropriate treatments. And they say, they finished, we believe that the dental profession as presently constituted is inappropriately educated for dealing adequately with oral health problems faced by the public. In many countries, there is an overproduction of dentists, most of whom provide services only to the main urban centers where private practice is more lucrative, and services often fail to reach those in more remote areas. Dentistry is drifting, it seems, away from its task of prevention and control of the profession of diseases and maintaining health. The mouth has become dissociated from the body, just as oral health. Care has become separated from the general medicine. We believe that dentistry is in a crisis. And they think that the only way out is to get dentistry like a specialty of medicine, to be seen as a real service to patients. And I would add to that, one of the things that I see, and this has to do a lot with the frustration that we see in dentists, is that I think that, and I think it happens all over the world, is that we now see that that patients look at us like hairdressers, because we have been behaving like hairdressers. With all due respect to our hairdressers, of course. But what are your thoughts about that? Because I try to educate my patients that they are in a place for health service. This is not a hairdresser. This is not a cosmetic place. Of course, that everybody works with aesthetics, but I think that one of the biggest sources of frustrations of dentists is that because they treat their audience through marketing strategies, just like hairdressers, of course that people will see them as hairdressers and they will be undervalued as healthcare providers. What are your thoughts on that?
I read this when it came out with great interest, and I think this is totally correct. And there's a conflict of interest in different countries. But I totally agree that we should focus more on being a doctor, and not just a cosmetic dentist or starting performing Botox treatment, whatever. So we are doctors. We have a training, and we should focus more on this. In some countries, they see the role of the dentist also as an important person in diagnosis of a growing number of cancers that start in the oral cavity, or let's say in the head area, because the head area is very prone to cancer development, because in our skull regenerates 10 times faster than the rest of the body. So this is a very interesting discussion, and I think a very good, also because time is running, also a good closing remark, that we should start thinking about what we really are. Are we cosmeticians, or you say like hairdressers, or are we doctors? And we should come back and say, I think we are doctors. It started in many years ago that the barber was also pulling out teeth. Then the dentist as a profession emerged. It got in connections with medicine, and we should be careful not to lose this connection, and going back in old days where the dentist is also cutting hair and doing some cosmetic work. So we try to stay in the doctor's approach, as I mentioned the doctor's approach, collect information, make a diagnosis, and then elaborate a treatment plan for our patients to get them healthy, and in any way healthy. A healthy mouth is connected also with a healthy body. So this is the key message that I think should be sent out, not only to the young generation of dentists.
Alessandro, last question. Tell us a little bit more, about your future projects, and how do you see the future of dentistry?
The future of dentistry is we should focus on our strengths, what we are doing. So being a doctor, finding our way also around with all the regulations that are coming up with us. So it's not easy. It's not the future. There's always a future with dentistry, but we should focus on our basic concepts of what we want to do for our patients, with our patients, and not selling them things. So it's we have to talk to our patients, identify the problems they have, and helping them solving their problems. So this is the future of dentistry, and prevention should be the main focus. And I know when in the 1960s in Switzerland, Müllemann and other professors started opening the free treatment for children, checkup every year, taking X-rays. This reduced caries dramatically, showing the young generation how to clean their teeth. So this prevention should be one of the main focuses, and it's also in medicine. If medicine would focus more on prevention, we could reduce the cost dramatically. And also in dentistry, if we would focus more on prevention and not just being interventive dentists, but preventive dentists, this for me is the future of dentistry.
And you, what about you, your future projects? What's coming on dental TV?
Okay, I will focus on this dental TV thing to help not only the young generation to be better prepared for their business and also private life. So these are my things to transform, to connect with the younger generation, helping them, not only myself, but I'm trying to connect also with other like-minded people to grow, create a network that can help the dental community to be better, be more successful, and be more happy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alessandro.
Thank you.
Because my wife already called me.
Okay,
my wife already called me.
Let's promote good work-life balance, and we'll let you go. Thank you so much. That was a great conversation.
It was wonderful. It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we always learn so much from you, and I think that we have to do this another time.
Absolutely.
I like that idea of us doing a podcast on this thing of feminine and masculinity and all the different things that this is leading us to. So thank you so much for coming here. We will let you go to your family, and again, it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Take care and talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.